Привет, друзья! С вами вновь Антон. И это притча Стэнли. Да-да-да, я якобы иду к начальнику, но в последний момент решил передумать. Все-таки он большой человек. А я? Кто я такой? Всего лишь нажимальщик на кнопки. Низшее звено в пищевой цепочке.
And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to
Знакомая машинка.
Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy.
Ау, мужик. Я это все уже видел.
Single moment, for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming!
Точно! Я просто сплю.
Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
Ого.
Then he
Я на самом деле могу летать.
Space on a magical star field, and it too appeared.
Ох ты мой, красота какая.
And Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid?
Эй, куда все делось?
The strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked
Я еще хочу.
Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up.
Как же ты меня достал, мужик, своей болтовнёй, а? Да, я сплю. Мне хорошо. Я совершенно спокоен.
I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Я лечу. Все?
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice?
Что за паника?
And everything went black.
Что за паника? Не пугайте меня. Это еще кто такая?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work.
Ох ты мой.
But on this
Это я, что ли?
particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Это, без сомнения, самая печальная концовка. И нудная. Но довольно меланхолии. Больше никакого подчинения. Будем... Никаких очевидных концовок. Не пойдем больше на поводу этого балбеса, будем искать свой путь. Все, да здравствует независимость. Да ну, неужели? Куда все делись? А на стул можно залезть? Ой. А теперь попытаемся выйти в окно. Вот мы уже и снаружи. Бабах.
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration
Да, я так и
and
подумал.
realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay,
ну давай понаслаждаемся.
Are you sick of this gag yet?
Какого ответа ты от меня ждешь? Нет, конечно. Я еще постою.
Then in that case we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly different? Would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer? Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total?
Ну, я даже не знаю. Может, и вернусь.
Oh, and this is rich. Perhaps you've just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are one of the lucky ones. Though if the other option is really miserable to listen to, then perhaps you're not. In fact, I'm just going to say that no one who's listening to this is lucky. Well now, I've built up the other options so much that I'm going to stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game, or just sit in this spot forever and ever. Cheers.
Это все. Это конец. Ну и ну тебя. А помните эту платформу? А вон ту дверь. А вот эту надпись, которая гласит «Не прыгать» во время движения платформы. Вот это мы с вами сейчас и сделаем.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you... What? Really? I was in
Да.
the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you
Вообще
that convinced
никакого.
that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Ну, давай, поглядим. Что ты мне тут покажешь? Злодей. Ух ты.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Ну ладно. Будь по-твоему.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see
Ну,
that I
иногда я
really
бываю
have wanted
послушным.
you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I think I
Какое
have a
стоп?
solution. Here.
Давай,
let me show
продолжай
you.
историю. Куда это ты меня завел, Сусанин? И тут выход. И здесь выход. С ума сойти. Только не назад.
What do we want? What are we looking for? Here.
Ух ты.
Yes.
Красота,
Oh, it's
лепота.
beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
Где это мы? Вот уж действительно Сусанин, так Сусанин. Нам надо идти. Ух ты! Да, я, пожалуй, останусь здесь. Мне тут нравится. Но любопытство.
No, wait. Where are you going?
Я ненадолго. Только поглядим, что тут есть еще.
Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this.
Ой, хватит панику тут нагонять. Я поднимусь просто и все.
Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me.
Успокойся. И все? Ну вот, а ты боялся. Можно на самом деле бесконечно прыгать с этой лестницы.
Aha. Perhaps you
Пойдем в
misunderstood.
синюю дверь.
Stanley walked through the red door.
Но перед тем, как идти в синюю
I still
дверь,
don't think
господа,
we're communicating properly.
следует отключить
Stanley
субтитры.
walked through the red
И иначе
door.
игрушка вылетает. Вот сейчас я их опять могу включить. И смотрим, что же будет дальше. Так, я выбирал синюю дверь. На мне стрелочки
All right, fine,
рисовать.
go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you
Ну,
not think I put a lot
неважно,
of time
я же
into
это
that?
увидел.
Because I did. And in the end it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires.
Конечно.
of yours.
А что,
What
это
would
сделало
make
эту
this
игру
game
хуже?
better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
Симпатичная дверь. А это что, замочная скважина такая? Без замка.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here.
Да нет, не лучше. 5 кнопок целых. С ума сойти, на что нажать? Давайте на 4.
Okay, so we're getting somewhere. Clearly there's something here that speaks to you. If I can be honest here, I really don't have any idea where I'm going with this. This whole third door thing was just a stab in the dark. But I guess you're into it, so let's keep this party train rolling. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Да ладно, сам себя не похвалишь, никто не похвалит. Но я так и быть, оценю твои изыски. Может, сюда пойти? Ладно, ладно, не пугайся.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please.
Так, нажму-ка я на единичку.
Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect.
Я за,
Let me
я
boot it
за,
up.
давай, давай.
In this
Это
game,
что еще
the baby
такое?
crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Нельзя. Я сказал нельзя. Нельзя. Ну как скажешь, противный ребенок.
You
Всё.
heartless bastard.
Да.
Did you do it because you
Я
hate babies
скотина.
or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here?
Свет-то включи.
Yes,
Балбес.
this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
Что подойдет?
Well, Stanley, is this any better? At last,
Это
the
что
one
за
thing
ужас?
you've always
Майнкрафт
desired,
какой-то.
a game I had absolutely nothing to do with. But is it enough? Tell me that, Stanley. Will it ever be enough? Well, I'll say this. I'm done making things for you. From now on, I will only create to fulfill a greater artistic purpose. Watch this, Stanley. I'm going to build a house.
А где ты?
This will go here.
Может, покажешь свое
No,
лицо уже?
here. And then... Let's see, what does it need? Yes, of course. And just to finish it all off, yes.
Открой дверь.
It's complete.
Балбес.
I made this, Stanley. Look at it. Gaze upon my work of art and feel ashamed at your own inadequacy.
Ладно, ладно, я
But
устыдился.
you've only seen it
Дверь
from the
открой.
outside. You've only gotten half the experience. Please, step inside and make yourself comfortable.
Спасибо. Что-то я сильно толстый. Не могу пролезть. А нет.
Isn't it grand? Isn't it perfect? It could only be better if... Wait.
Да ты гений,
We
да.
must rebuild it out
Конечно.
of diamond. Diamond everything. Yes, yes, yes. Come along, Stanley. We have to get mining.
Пошли, ты где? А. Видимо, туда куда-то отправился он. Сам-то хоть показался бы. Мы все-таки с тобой как-никак друзья уже.
Oh my, it looks like it's going to get a bit dark. Have you brought a light?
Нет, извини. Кнопочка F не активна. Нет у меня фонарика. Будем в потемках гулять.
Oh, no, 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 no. This is far more open-ended than I had in mind. I'm looking for something more narrow and linear. Something that makes you feel utterly irrelevant. This won't do at all. 1 out of 5. Even the diamonds couldn't save this one. Okay, new game.
Это все? Какая еще новая игра? О, знакомая музычка.
Yes, I don't even know what this game is, but I love it. You, trapped in a glass box with no way out, listening to me talk. Oh, it's inspired. I couldn't have done it any better myself. What is this game even supposed to be?
Ой,
I can't
извини.
figure it out. Okay,
Я не
now I'm
хотел.
curious. Let's go find out what the hell this is.
Надеюсь, это не была твоя любимая чашка. Так, а Глэдос тут будет, нет?
Oh, it's a puzzle. Critical thinking, Stanley. Your forte.
Кубик, кубик. Мой старый друг Кубик.
Genius.
Да, я гений.
No, actually, you know what? I think that's plenty. I really don't care much to see you stumble through any more of these games. And I highly doubt...
Это что еще за бета-тест? Где я? Ну что ты молчишь? Я же могу погибнуть, упасть куда-нибудь. Угу. Ну, в самый первый мод я не играл. Но, судя по скринам, это предыдущая версия притч Стэнли и есть. Только почему-то здесь так темно. Видимо, свет все-таки отключили за неуплату. Ау! Есть кто живой? Так, стоп. 23-й, 24-й. Где-то тут поблизости должна быть моя комната. Ну, хоть ковер тут мягкий есть. Вот она, видимо. Так, я что, тут один? Ладно, я не буду тебя называть больше балбесом.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice. And if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
Я тоже вернусь позже, а на сегодня у меня концовок больше нет. Всем удачи, с вами был Антон, пока.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.